What if something as simple as a massage device could bring down an airplane? Crazy, right? Welcome to QuickCasters. Today we're diving deep into a conflict where the front lines are changing faster than ever, and we've got you covered with all the latest. So hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on this situation or our future deep dives. To help us navigate this incredibly complex situation, we've got a leading geopolitical expert with us today.
It's great to be here. This is a really fast-moving situation, so breaking it down and understanding the significance is, well, it's essential.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. Russia's advancing in Ukraine at a rate we haven't seen since the war began. We're talking about them taking an area the size of 2 football fields every minute. Every minute.
Yeah, that's a significant development for sure, but we need to keep in mind that this advance isn't as rapid as Russia's initial push.
Right. So to counter that, Ukraine's been hitting back, and they're using some serious firepower. We've seen them using those U.S.-supplied long-range ATACMS missiles to target Russian ammunition depots and even airfields deep inside Russia.
Yeah, those ATACMS strikes are really strategic. When they hit airfields like the one in Kursk, it forces those Russian jets to operate from bases further away. So that limits how many bombs they can carry. That's a big deal because it starts to chip away at Russia's air superiority, which has been a major factor in this whole conflict.
Makes sense. And it's not just the ATACMS. Ukraine's been using those British Storm Shadow missiles as well. And one of those strikes actually hit a base that was reportedly housing North Korean soldiers. Now, that raises a whole other set of questions about North Korea's involvement, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Having North Korean personnel on the battlefield really adds another layer of intrigue to this. It's a sign that this conflict is, well, it's becoming increasingly global, and there's the potential for even more international involvement as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. But Russia's not staying quiet in response to all of this. They've hit back with a wave of drone strikes, primarily targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. But one attack really stands out. They deployed a new experimental hypersonic missile called the Resnik. This missile has been modified from an intercontinental ballistic missile. It can carry multiple warheads, each with the ability to release submunitions. That's a whole new level of technology and weaponry.
Oh, absolutely. The Resnik is a game changer. I mean, it clearly demonstrates that Russia is willing to use advanced weaponry in this conflict, and the potential for destruction is, well, it's immense. The fact that it can carry multiple warheads, each with submunitions, that raises serious concerns about the potential for things to escalate.
And here's where it gets really unsettling. Russia actually alerted the U.S. just 30 minutes before launching the Resnik. They're adhering to those Cold War-era protocols that were designed to prevent an accidental nuclear war. It makes you wonder, though, what's next in this conflict?
Yeah, that 30-minute warning is a chilling reminder of how delicate the balance is. Even in the midst of this intense conflict, using such advanced weaponry, even with protocols in place, is incredibly risky. It definitely raises the stakes. And that's not the only development that should give us pause. These attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, they're brutal. Plunging civilians into darkness during the harshest winter months, it's a stark reminder of the human cost of this war.
Yeah, absolutely. It really underscores the devastating impact this is having on everyday people.
I mean, they really are. They have a devastating impact, especially on the energy grid. Not only do they plunge people into darkness and cold, but they disrupt those critical services, essential industries, further crippling Ukraine's efforts in this war.
And, we mentioned before, those attacks aren't just confined to Ukraine's borders. There are growing concerns about potential Russian sabotage attempts in the West. What do you think?
Well, you look at those combustible devices they found. The ones disguised as massage devices. On those cargo planes, the ones headed to North America and Canada. It's concerning.
Yeah, it is.
It really suggests that Russia might be willing to take things further, extend its actions beyond Ukraine, potentially target civilian infrastructure in Western countries.
It's a scary thought. And then you've got that unexplained drone activity near U.S. Air Force bases in the U.K., some of which house those F-35 fighter jets, potentially even nuclear weapons. Could this be a message from Russia?
It's possible. I mean, Russia has said they'll target any country that supports Ukraine.
Right.
So this drone activity, especially near bases with, strategically important assets, it could be their way of showing what they can do, their resolve, further increasing the risk of this conflict spreading beyond Ukraine.
So we've got Russia advancing on the ground using advanced weaponry and potentially engaging in sabotage in the West. And on the other side, you have Ukraine fiercely defending their territory with the help of Western weapons. All this is happening while the Russian ruble is weakening. It's at its lowest point since the beginning of the war. What does this tell us about Russia's ability to keep this up?
Well, the ruble weakening, it's definitely a sign of the economic strain this war is putting on Russia. So even with their gains on the battlefield, the economic consequences are building. The question is, how long can they keep up this level of military activity with these conditions? It's tough to say.
It paints a really complex picture, and a concerning one. But let's zoom out a little. Why should the average person, someone following this, care about what's happening thousands of miles away in Ukraine?
Well, this conflict has consequences that go way beyond the region. The use of advanced weaponry, the risk of nuclear escalation, the disruption to global supply chains, it all has a ripple effect, impacts the global economy and security.
It really is a reminder that what happens in one part of the world can affect everyone else. But with so much information out there and a lot of misinformation, how can we make sense of it all? What do you think?
I think it's crucial to be critical of the information we see. Look for diverse perspectives, verify sources, be wary of propaganda and misinformation. Look for evidence-based analysis and think about the motivations behind different narratives.
So being informed and engaged is key.
Yeah, absolutely. And this isn't a black and white issue. There's so much complexity, historical context, competing interests. Understanding all of that is important if we want to form informed opinions and have meaningful conversations about it.
It makes you wonder, is there any hope for a solution? Are there any diplomatic efforts to try and de-escalate the situation?
There have been attempts at dialogue, but progress has been slow and challenging. There's so much mistrust between the sides that finding common ground is incredibly difficult.
So potentially, we're looking at a conflict that could go on for a long time. No easy solutions. With the stakes so high and the risk of things escalating, what does the future hold for this conflict? What do you think?
The trajectory of this war, it's uncertain, but one thing is clear. The stakes are incredibly high. The potential for escalation, whether intentional or accidental, is a constant threat. It's a tough question. And with the ripple effect on global security, is this what we're going to see from now on? A new era of warfare?
It's definitely a sobering thought. But with all this uncertainty, is there anything that makes you hopeful?
Well, the resilience of the Ukrainian people, it's inspiring. Their determination to defend their country, their way of life, it really shows the strength of the human spirit. And the road to peace may be long and difficult, but we can't give up on dialogue and diplomacy.
So we're left with a lot to think about. With both sides entrenched and using increasingly destructive tactics, what's the ultimate cost of this conflict going to be? What will it mean for global security?
Those are really important questions, especially as we see how things continue to unfold. The answers aren't easy, that's for sure. But if we want to make it through these turbulent times, continued analysis, dialogue, and understanding are crucial.
Absolutely. And we want to thank all of you for joining us on this deep dive. Remember to like this video and subscribe to QuickCasters for more in-depth analyses. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.
Subscribe and give me a like. Subscribe.